Good morning, I am Marnel P. Gaspar, first year college, Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English. Instructor, Sheila T. Kakimbal, LPT CAR. Final requirements, PED 1, the Child and Adolescent Learner and Learning Principle. Title, Pre-recorded oral report. Week 1, Unit 1, Basic Concept and Issues on Human Development. Topic, Human Development, Meaning, Concept, and Approaches. Objectives, Definition of Human Development in my own words. Definition of Human Development in Lifespan. Concept Digas, every living creature is called to become what it is meant to be. The caterpillar is meant to become a butterfly, a seed into a full-grown herb, bush, or tree, and human baby into a mature person, the person who is fully alive, the glory of God, in the words of Saint Irenaeus. How this development happens in what we learn in our biology class, we have seen it to be a fantastic process, so wonderful a process that we can't help but experience a feeling of awe for the power of the force of the principle. Still call this power of force or principle, God, behind all this. Human development. It is referred to the physical, cognitive, and psychosocial development of human throughout the lifespan. Defined also the process of enlarging people's freedoms and opportunities and improving their well-being. Human development is about real freedom. Ordinary people have to decide who to be, how to do, and how to live. For me, studying human development is important because we can gain to understand our life's experiences, and also we can help other people to understand their going through, understand their relationship to our society and individual growth, lead more effectively, and support their physical and mental health of others. The physical domain refers to the changes of our body, size, shapes, appearance, brain development, motor development, perception, capacities, physical health, and sensory capabilities. I have example here, the pictures. For example, a child physical development is one of the important factors. Their height, physical maturity, and strength are the most notable things contributing to the child's motor skill. Mostly, the infant's age range from 0 to 2 years, grows at a very fast rate. Increase their weight and brain development happen to simultaneously for these infants. Cognitive domain. This includes mental process, thinking, learning, and understanding, and it doesn't stop in childhood. It is also the process intellectual abilities including attention, memory, problem solving, imagination, creativity, academic and everyday knowledge, metacognition and knowledge, and language. This is a changing of our style in thinking, language, ability and use, and memory. Psychosocial domain involves emotions and personality, self-esteem, and relationship. Peers become more important for adolescents who are exploring new rules, and forming their own identities. Romance, cohabitation, marriage, having children, and find work or career are are all part of transition into adulthood. Psychosocial development continues across adulthood with and some different developmental issues of family, friends, parenting, romance, divorce, remarriage, blending families, caregiving for elders, becoming grandparents and great grandparents, retirement, new careers, coping with losses and death and dying. This is changes in feeling or emotion as well as relation with other people. Some major principle of human development is relatively orderly. While the pattern of development is likely to be similar, the outcomes of development processes and the rate of development are likely to vary among individuals. Development takes place gradually. Development as a process is complex because it is product of biological, cognitive, and socio-emotional process. We have the characteristic of the lifespan perspective, the development of lifelong. The development is multidimensional. Development is plastic. The development is contextual. Development involves growth, maintenance, and regulation. Principles of child development and learning that inform practice. Children develop in predictable order from simple to more complex skills. They learn by doing and practice new skills through play. Children must have their basic needs met, feel safe, and feel valued in order to develop and learn. Okay, we are going to week 2. Unit 1, Stage of Development. Topic, the stage of development and development task. Objective, definition of development task. Concept Digas. For every development stage, there is an expected development task. Development task, prenatal period. From concept to birth, prenatal development. The process encompassed the period from the formation of an embryo through the development of fetus to birth. Infancy, from birth to 2 years. The period from the birth to 2 years of age is a critical time for an infant's health, growth, and development. New parents and parents will find information here to help their children will be best possible start life. Early childhood and of infancy to 5 to 6 years, like grade 1. At this time, they were here as preschool years, the day that first time to go to school, to develop our readiness and skills and spend more time in playing with peers. The middle and late childhood, 6 to 11 years old of the age elementary school years. The child developmental path in their middle childhood year, between 6 and 11 years old of age. Their fundamental skills are reading, writing, and arithmetic are mastered. They are also exposed to the larger world and its culture. These achievements becomes central to them and increasing of their self-control. The adolescents, 10 to 12 years of age, ending up to 18 to 22 years of age. At this age, starting of changing in our body, the height, weight, body shape, and being matured. Changes in boys like Adam's apple, facial hair, depending boys and etc. In girls, underarm hair, also in boys also in boys. In girls, menstruation in every month, body shape, and etc. Early adulthood from late teens or early 20s lasting through the 30s. At this early adulthood, develop path the time to achieve our goals, dreams to graduate in college, to have permanent job and time to marriage in someone to you can build your own family. Middle adulthood, 40 to 60 years of age. Middle adulthood refers to the period of the lifespan between young adulthood and old age. This age of we can see the men or women. Late childhood, 60 years and above. Fastest growing age bracket of society. Physical deterioration, brittle bones, poor coordination. Some memory problem, coping with retirement and form of entertainment. Very concerned with health and finance. Significant number become depressed, suicide rate is high. So we are here in week 3, Unit 1, Research in Child and Adolescent Development. The topic, teachers as consumers and user of research. Teacher as researchers. The scientific method research, design, data gathering, and technique. Teachers are consumer and users of research enable to teacher to come up with informed decision on what to teach and how to teach. This involves decision related to education, policies, curriculum, effective teaching, learning and process, and even this involving research too. The scientific method, one of the important in research. Since research is systematic and logical process. Scientific development have 5 steps. Number 1 is identify and define the problem. Second, determine the hypothesis. Third, collect and analyze data. Fourth, formulate conclusion. And the last, apply conclusion to the original hypothesis. Research design, it is a strategy for study and the plan by which the strategy is to be carried out. It specifies and method and procedure for the collection, measurement, and analysis of data. It is play for selecting the source and types of information used to answer and research question. It is framework for specifying the relationship among the study variables. It is blueprint that outlines each procedure from the hypothesis to the analysis. So, gathering data ay data gathering techniques. Observe the active acquisition of information from primary source in the living things observation, employees, the senses, also observation in a real world like classroom, homes, and neighborhood. Psychological measure, the direct and indirect object observation of variables attributable to normative functioning of system and subsystem in the human body. Example, heart rate, skin conductance, skin temperature, cortisol level, palm sweat, and eye tracking. Standards. These are prepared tests that assess individuals' performance in different domains. These tests are admired in consistent manner. In interviews and questionnaires, questionnaires implies a form consisting of series of written or printed multiple choice questions to be marked by the informants. Interview is a formal conversation between the interview and respondent. We are two participants in the question-answer season. Life history record. These are the records and information about lifetime, chronological and event activities involving combination of the data, records, and education, work, family, and residence. These included public records or historical document of interview with respondents. Ethical principles are part of narrative theory that justify or defends moral rules and moral judgment. They are not dependent or one's subjective viewpoints. For example, being honest, loyalty, caring, respect for others, fairness, process, keeping law, updating, and have integrity. So we are here in week 4. Unit 2, Developmental Theories and Other Relevant Theories. Topic, Sigmund Freud's Psychosexual Theory. Objectives, describing Freud's view about child and adolescent development. Implication of Freud's theory and Erickson's theory to education. Concept Diga, Sigmund Freud, 1856 to 1939. Psychosexual theory has 4 important stages of desire in which libido energy becomes concentrated, in particular in our body. These stages include oral, anal, phallic, latent, and genital stages. The part mentioned the point of desire when a child is specific stage. The 3 components and personality adjustment. So perigo, the part of personality that, according to Freud, represent internalized ideals and provide standards for judgmental, and future aspiration. ID, the response of unconscious psych energy that, according to the Freud, strives to satisfy basic sexual and aggressive drives. Ego, the parts of mind that mediates between the conscious and its responsible for reality testing and a sense of personal identity. The role of conflict. Freud believed that the nature of the conflicts among the ID, ego, and superego change over time as the time of a person grows from child to adult. Specifically, he maintained that his conflict progress through a series of 5 basic stages, each with a different focuses: the oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genital. Frustration overindulgence and fixation. Both frustration and overindulgence lack some amount of child libido permanently into the stage in which they occur, were the result of fixation. Psychosexual stages of development is the order of these stages by using the mnemonic. Old is oral, age is anal, pensioner is phallic, love is latent, and the grapes is genital. Stage 1, the oral, is from birth to 1 year. The erogenous zone is mouth. During this stage, an infant gets mouths of displeasure from the mouth. This associated with behavior with like eating and thumb sucking. Freud believed that infants can develop oral fixation if their oral needs aren't met. Stage 2, anal stage, 1 to 3 years old. Erogenous zone, bowel, and bladder control. Around this stage, the child begins to toilet train, which bring about the child's fascination in the erogenous zone of the anus. Freud believed that the primary focus on the libido was on controlling bladder and bowel movements. Stage 3, phallic stage, 3 to 6 years, erogenous zone is genitals. At this stage, Freud relied on male sexuality as the norm of development. His analysis of this phase aroused considerable opposition, especially because he claimed its major concern in castration anxiety. Stage 4, latent stage, 6 to puberty libido inactive. At this stage, a time exploration in which the sexual energy repressed or dormant. This stage is important in the development of social and communication skill and self-confidence. Stage 5, genital stage, puberty to death, maturing and sexual interest. At this stage, Sigmund Freud described the final stage of human psychosexual development. This individual develops a strong sexual interest in people outside of the family. So this is Sigmund Freud. I have picture here. In his theory, emphasized that importance of unconscious mind and primary assumption of Freudian theory is that the unconscious mind governs behavior to a greater degree than people suspect. So week 5, Ped 1, Unit 2, Developmental Theories and Other Relevant Theories. Topic, Piaget's Stages and Cognitive Development. So this is Jean Piaget's objective describing Piaget's stage of development. Concept Ligas, Jean Piaget's cognitive theory of development suggests that children move through 4 different stages of mental development. His theory focuses not only to understand how the children acquired knowledge but also in understanding the nature of intelligence. Basic cognitive concept, schema, refer to the cognitive structure by which individuals intellectually adapt to and organize this environment. Assimilation, the process of fitting a new experience into existing or previously created cognitive structure or schema. Accumulation, the process of creating schema. So schema refers to the cognitive structure by which individuals intellectually adapt to and organize their movement. Assimilation is the process of fitting a new experience into a existing or previously created cognitive structure or schema. Accumulation, the process of creating a new schema. Equilibration is achieving process balance between assimilation or previously created cognitive structure or schema. Cognitive disequilibrium, this is a means that is discrepancy between what is perceived and what is understood. Piaget's stage of cognitive development, stage 1, sensory motor, from birth to 2 years. The infant explores the world through direct sensory motor contact. Object permanence and separation agent development during the stage. Stage 2, pre-operational 2, 3 to 6 years. The child uses symbols, words, and image to represent object but does not reason logically. The child also has the ability to pretend during this stage the child is egocentric. Stage 3, concrete operational stage, 7 to 12 years old. The child can think logically about concrete object and can thus add and subtract. The child also understands conversation. Stage 4 is stage 4, formal operational, 12 years to adult. The adolescent can reason abstractly and think in hypothetical terms. Week 6. Week 6, Unit 2, Development Theories and Other Relevant Theories. Topic, Erikson's Psychosocial Theory of Development. Objectives, Erikson's views about child and adolescent development. Concept Digas, Erik Erikson's 1902 to 1994. Psychosocial Theory of Development. Erikson was a German-born analyst who learned not only from Freud's work but also from his study in Sioux and Yurok Indians in the United States, where he spent much of his adult. In Erikson's psychosocial theory, he is believed that a strong sense of personal identity was important for developing intimate relationship. Erikson's 8 stages. Stage 1, the trust versus mistrust from birth to the 12 months. The infant forms a loving, trusting relationship with caregiver, which in turn forms the foundation for the expectation of the world as source and pleasant place to live. Stage 2, autonomy versus shame. 1 to 3 years. Infant and toddler begin to explore their world in assert and independence. Stage 3, initiative versus guilt. 3 to 6 years. The preschoolers needs to rely on active, purposeful behavior more as their environment present new challenges and demands more responsibility. Stage 4, industry versus inferiority. 6 to 12 years old. The school-age child must learn to deal with demands to learn and wide range of new skills, including the task of formal schooling. Stage 5, identity versus rule, confusion. 12 to 18 years. The primary task at this development stage is the formation of a sense of personal identity with regard to such things as opinions, sexual rules, and occupations. Stage 6, intimacy versus isolation, young adulthood. At this stage, individuals face the task of forming intimate relationship with others. Stage 7, genitivity versus stagnation, middle adulthood. The focuses of this stage is the parenting. Erikson's means helping the next generation to develop and lead useful lives. Stage 8, integrity versus despair, late adulthood. Erikson described this as a feeling of integrity If earlier crises have not been resolved, possibly looking back and likely to lead to feeling of despair. Week 7, Unit 3, Development Theory and Other Relevant Theory. Kohlberg's Theory of Moral Development. Objectives. Definition of each stage of its moral development. Introduction to the eighth stage. Lawrence Kohlberg, 1927 to 1987. Lawrence Kohlberg is a psychologist who was born in Brownsville, New York, taught for many years at Harvard. He believed that moral development depended on moral reasoning. The three levels each have two stages. Pre-conventional reasoning, moral reasoning directed initially by the expectation of punishment from external sources and later by an interest in personal reward. Conventional reasoning, initial to get approval and later in response to law and a sense of duty. Post-conventional reasoning, moral reasoning guided by communication versus individual rights and later by universal principles of ethics. Summary of Kohlberg's theory of moral development. Level 1, Pre-conventional morality, Stage 1, Obedience and punishment, behavior driven by avoiding punishment. Stage 2, Individual interest, behavior driven by self-interest and rewards. Level 2, Conventional morality. Stage 3, Interpersonal behavior driven by social approval. Stage 4, Authority, behavior driven by obeying authority and confirming the social order. Level 3, Post-conventional morality. Stage 5, Social contract, behavior driven by balance of social order and individual rights. Stage 6, Universal ethics, behavior driven by internal moral principles. Week 8, Page 1, Unit 3, Developmental Theories and Other Relevant Theories by Vygotsky's Social Cultural Theory. Objective. Vygotsky theory is called socio-cultural theory. Concept. Degas. Introduction. Vygotsky socio-cultural theory grew from the work of seminal psychology Lev Vygotsky, who believed that parents, caregivers, peers, and the culture at large were responsible for developing high-order functions. Scaffolding is the Vygotsky term for the appropriate assistance given by the teacher to assist learner accomplish a task. Piaget and Vygotsky worked on his theory around the same time as Piaget, in between the 1920s and 30s, but they had clear difference in their views about cognitive development. Social interaction. Piaget's theory has more individuals, while Vygotsky was more social. Cultural factors. Vygotsky believed in the crucial role culture played in cognitive development of child. Piaget believed that as the child develops and matures, he goes through universal stage of cognitive development that allows him to move from simple exploration with the sense of muscles to complex reasoning. Language. Opening the door for learners to acquire knowledge that others already have. Learners can use language to know and understand the world, solve problems. Zone proximal development, the space between what learned can do without assistance and what learned can do without adult guidance, or collaboration with more capable peers. Sa week 9, Unit 3, Developmental Theories and Other the Relevant Theory. Si topic, Bronfenbrenner's Ecological Theory. Objective, the layers of Bronfenbrenner's bioecological model. Concept Diges, Introduction. The ecological system theory was developed by Yuri Bronfenbrenner. Bronfenbrenner believed that the person's development was affected by everything in their surrounding environment. He divided the person environment into 5 different levels: the microsystem, the mesosystem, the ecosystem, the microsystem, and the chronosystem. Abstraction. Bronfenbrenner's model, also known biological system theory, presents child development within the context of a relationship system that comprise the child environment. Bronfenbrenner's biological model structure of environment. The first is microsystem, the system closest to the person and the one in which he have direct contact. Mesosystem layers serve as the connection between structure of the child microsystem. Exosystem layer is found in the biggest social system in which the child does not function directly. Microsystem layer is found in the outermost part in the child environment. The role of schools and teachers. Bronfenbrenner's theory reminds the school and the teacher can contribute stably and long-term relationship, but only the support, not to replace the relationship in the home. Week 10, Ped 1, Development, Unit 4, Development of the learners at the various stage. Topic, Prenatal period. Diges concept. Introduction. Although development theories, which willently discuss, dwell on the developmental process after birthday. The stages of prenatal development. The genital period from conception to birth weeks. Embryonic period 2 weeks to 2 months. Fetal period lasts from about 2 months after conception until 9 months. Teratology and hazard to prenatal development. The field's investigation the causes of congenital birthday or defects. Cluster of hazards to prenatal development. Prescription and non-prescription drugs. Psychoactive drugs, environmental hazard, maternal factors, paternal factors. Human life begins at conception. In the mother's womb, development a human being. The sacrifice of our mother from conception until we see a beautiful world. Week 11, Unit 4, Development of learners at various stages. Topics, Physical development of infants and toddlers. We have here the natural pregnancy week by week. Concept Diges, traced by developmental process before the birthday. Concept Diges, trace the developmental process before the birthday. The developmental process by following the infants and newborn up to week he reaches ages. Cephalocaudal trend. The postnatal growth process conception to the birthday when the fetus grows from the insides of the body outwards. Proximodistal trend. The prenatal growth from 5 months to birthday, when the fetus grows from the inside of the body outwards. Development are height and weight, motor development, gross motor skills, brain development, reflexes, fine motor skills. Week 12, Unit 4, Development of Learners at Various Stage. Topic, Cognitive Development in Infant and Toddlers. Concept Digas, Introduction, babies are not only growing physically during the first 2 years of life but also cognitively. Sensory motor development, the first stage of our child life. It begins at birth and class through age. Language development, taught to process by ordinary process of learning, in which children acquire the form, meanings, and uses of words and utterances from the linguistic input. Week 13, Unit 5, Development of the Learned at the Various Stages. Topics, Socio-emotional Development of Infants and Toddlers. Concept Diges, the formative years, the importance of the first 3 years in human development. They are so-called the formal years, whereas the parents, caregivers, have significant role in the development of the child. Temperaments is a world that captured that ways the people differ. Even birthday is Dutch thing, their emotional reaction, activity level, attention span, persistence, and ability to regulate their emotions. Supporting social emotional development for infants and toddlers depend upon ongoing responsive relationship. Strategy learning about emotion and emotions expression. Infants and toddlers learn about emotion and expression of emotion through their interaction with others. Strategy learning play and friendship skills. Infants and toddlers are learning how to interact and play with others. Week 14, PED 1, Unit 5, Development of Learned and Various Stage. Preschoolers' Physical Development. Introduction, the preschoolers' years and commonly known as the years before formal schooling begin. Significant changes in the physical development, physical growth increase in the preschool years, although it is much slower in the space that infancy and toddlerhood. Gross and fine motor development. Gross motor refers to the acquiring skills that involve that large muscle. Locomotor skill, those that involve going from the place to another, like walking, running, climbing, skipping, hopping, creeping, and dodging. Non-locomotor, those are who can child stay in a place like bending, stretching, turning, and swaying. Manipulated skills are those that involve projects and receiving objects like throwing, striking, bouncing, catching, and dribbling. Fine motor development refers to the acquiring the ability to use the smaller muscle in the arm, hands, and finger purposeful. Preschoolers as artistic development. At the heart of the preschoolers' years is their interest to draw and make other form of artistic expression. Stage of drawing, scribbling stage like this. Pre-schematic stage like this. Schematic stage. Sa drawing niya is may tao na. Preschoolers nutrition and sleep. Kind of nutrition and preschooler get has far teaching effect in his physical growth and development. Sleep and nutrition. Week 15, the last Unit 5, Development of the Learned at the Various Stage. Topic, Cognitive Development of the Preschoolers. Introduction, some once wrote his journal. Childhood is a world of miracle and wonder. As its creation rose vast in light out of darkness, utterly new, fresh, and astonishing. Brain connections in the preschoolers because of fascinating development in neuroscience. Brain development of young children has been a great interest to the field of early childhood. Brain research finding point as to more effective ways to care of the teach preschoolers. Neurons, they connect to each other to function. Synapse connection, the cell connection, language development, young children understanding sometimes get ahead for their speech. Language and social interaction, Vygotsky believed that young children use develop language both to communicate, social, and to guide and motor their behavior is a self-regulator functions called inner speech or private speech. Zone of proximal development refer to the task too difficult for a child to master alone but can be mastered with a guidance and assistance for adults or more skilled children. Scaffolding in terms to the refers of changing support over the course and teaching season with the more skilled person adjusting guidance to fit to the child's current performance. More knowledge, more knowledgeable other MKO, the more skilled person. Information processing theory, attention, the memory. The information processing model, another way for examining the understand how children develop cognitively. The young children theory of mind refers to the individual thoughts about how mental process work. Receptive language standard, the children is able to understand both verbal and nonverbal form of communication. Pre-reading and pre-math matching. Standard 1.1, the children is able to match identical object, color, shapes, symbols. Pre-reading, pre-match, copying letter and number. Standard 1.2, the child is able to recite the alphabet and number in sequence. The role of caregivers, parents, and teachers in the cognitive development of preschoolers. Learning about how preschoolers think and learn, one will realize that parents and teachers can do a lot either to help preschoolers to develop their cognitive or impeded them. So that's all. Some of my words are not perfect, have nawala yung letters. Thank you for listening. That's all.